What? Right. So how did you do, by the way?
We did really good in the primary.
Yeah.
66% of the vote. So
That's pretty good.
that's pretty solid.
All right. So today here I'm with Jim Pressel, District 20. 20.
District 20.
I almost said 21 because I deliver in Stark County.
Yeah.
So
So District 20 is into Stark County.
is it,
Yeah. So District 20,
or is it Marshall?
Marshall County would be Jack Jordan. I don't know what that number is, but
Yeah.
District 20 is about 2/3 of LaPorte County
Mm-hmm.
and the northern half of Stark County.
Yeah.
And then after the November election, redistricting will actually take place.
Okay.
We've done it, but then it becomes official. So then I have District 20 being still 3/4 of LaPorte County, and about 3 townships got lost in Stark County that's now in a different district. So
Okay. All
takes
right.
in both.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'm pretty much I work in Walkerton, so I get 4 different.
Oh,
counties.
you get them all then. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And they all kind of blend together.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
So what do you think? I'm going to ask you very political stuff. I hope
Okay.
you're ready.
All right.
What do you think about the overturning of Roe v. Wade? Because it's a hot topic right now.
Yeah, it's a very historical moment, right?
Yeah.
50 years, that's been the law of the land, and the Supreme Court says now we're going to leave it up to the states if this was a bad ruling. So, folks are on both sides of that.
Right.
So we're going to see what takes place in Indiana.
Right.
Starting July 6th, we're going to be back for a special session, and we're going to have those conversations.
All right.
We're going to vet what is next for Hoosiers and what does that look like.
Right. I'm more of a libertarian aspect of things because I'm more of once you reach viability, it should just be C-sectioned out and then get put into the adoption program instead of just outright kill. I get there's exceptions for everything, and this is a tricky situation, but where do you like to see things move forward to? This is not an I got you moment. I promise
Gotcha
you.
moment. And I'm trying to choose words carefully because I don't want to get an expectation up. So one thing I've learned is 6 years in the legislature.
Right.
Legislation will be filed. I guarantee you that's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like, and where does all that shake out to get to the best place. So, that we're going to see legislation that says abortion will be totally illegal in Indiana. We're going to see that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But where does the General Assembly shake out as far as, are there exceptions? Is there one exception? Is it the life of the mother only? Is it rape and incest along with life of the mother?
I think it would be those 3.
There's gonna be
Personally.
3. And maybe it ends up that there's only one.
Right.
So you got to look at what I want to hear is testimony from everyone, right? I expect testimony to take 2 days in each chamber, in the House chamber and in the Senate chamber, to kind of vet it out, and then have those conversations with my colleagues to figure out if there's going to be those exceptions, how do you determine rape, right? Is it because you were accused of a rape? Is it because you were convicted of a rape? Because we all know that the judicial systems can be a long, drawn-out process.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A couple years.
Yeah.
So how do you determine that as an exception? And then what's the criminal penalty?
Well,
Is there a criminal penalty?
I don't think there should be a criminal penalty per se. It should be more of like, you really need like a doctor's orders to say, yes, you need this procedure done
For life of the mother.
for life of the mother. Or if there was it's kind of hard to say if there was a criminal charge against like a rape victim, because I think it's 40% of rape victims come unheard, or they don't come forward.
Probably.
Right, so it's hard to say that and to find a good balance. I do not envy your position. I really don't. But I like being in the weeds and talking about stuff.
So, there's just a lot of things as I talk to people, and obviously it became very forefront 2 months ago, but now after yesterday's decision, I'm getting a lot of text messages, I'm getting a lot of emails, for and against, arguing for one exception, arguing for 3 exceptions, arguing it's really the choice of the mother. This is a family decision. It's a decision with. There's a broad spectrum of opinions,
Yeah.
and part of doing this job is to listen to everybody,
Right.
and then decide, really, what is the best outcome or the best possible scenario in all circumstances, right? So I struggle with the exceptions because I just don't know how you prove rape. Unless it's a conviction, but then that's so far down the line,
Right.
And then if you set that standard to say that it could be just the accusation of rape, then do the amount of rape accusations go up, and do people get accused wrongly?
Which then looks bad on Indiana.
Well, it looks bad on everybody, you know. I mean, you could be accused of rape,
I could. Yeah.
right?
I
mean,
could.
and does that make it right then to have the abortion? So those are the things that we'll struggle
Right.
with. And is there a criminal penalty?
I would assume so. Like, for a rape charges, there's a criminal penalty already, but like for a false allegation, is that what you're talking about?
You know, should there be one? That's a great question.
Well, I mean, is it? I guess is it rape if it's regretful sex? Like she had sex with a guy and then doesn't like it.
It's a great question, right? You know, so that's why it's easier, or it's not as easy as just this is what it's going to be.
All right.
It's a lot of conversations, it's a lot of what ifs, and that's how we get to good policy.
So let's switch gears here. Constitutional carry. Are you a 2A absolutist?
I voted for it for 3 years. I voted against constitutional carry the first 2 years. So yeah,
Really?
interesting, right? So I'm a lifetime carry permit guy. Have been for a long time. The Second Amendment's very important to me. I liked the vetting locally of folks in order to get that permit, and I didn't find it very cumbersome to do that.
No, me and my wife both did the concealed carry thing, and it wasn't hard to do.
It's not hard to do, and we made it free. We did.
Well, it was $175.
Well, we made the permit free, but the fingerprinting you still got to pay for.
Right, and the processing for federal.
For the federal, I didn't realize.
Federal is $50.
Yeah. So why did you have a federal portion of that?
So when I did it back in 2012.
So way prior to us changing those laws.
Yeah.
So yeah, now, well, prior to July 1st, you would basically pay for your fingerprints, and that was it.
Yeah.
So it was completely done. So now it'll be constitutional carry, but we're still going to have the permits, obviously.
Right.
And I think that's good because we want to be able to have reciprocity with other states.
All right, absolutely. And I mean, defense of home and liberty, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, here's a weird one for you. Do you believe in green energy as a viable solution? Solar and wind. Specifically solar and wind.
Solar and wind.
Are you in with you?
Yeah, we're doing you can join in.
No.
Yeah. Come on, join in.
Oh yeah. You know, so that's a really broad question, right? So here's what I'll tell you, and hopefully I answer most of your question, kind of like this. So I believe in a proportion to our energy system that should be made up of renewables.
Agreed.
Now, is that solar? Is it wind? I don't know that we want to get too deeply invested in one or the other. I think our energy grid and the makeup of the energy grid for the Midwest
Is in shambles.
well,
It's getting better. It's getting better.
it's getting better, but it should be made up like as a stock portfolio, right? We don't
Yes.
want to be all in coal. We don't want to be all in wind. And we don't want to be all in solar. And we don't want to be all in nuclear.
I would strongly suggest looking at thorium reactors, because thorium reactors, we can mine more of it easily and make synthetic versions of it compared to uranium.
So does that actually act like the mini nukes, the modular nukes?
Kind of. It's really complicated-ish.
Is the fuel source? I'm not
Yes.
familiar with.
It superheats, it boils water, it spins a turbine, no different than nuclear energy does. But for their safety measure, it can be buried 20 feet deep into a concrete vat, and it self-cools itself. Because if there's no there's no electrical charge that gets it going, it slowly comes down to a standstill. Kind of like turning boiling water off.
Yeah,
Hey,
not familiar with it at all.
It's something to look into, because thorium, we actually have a very big supply of it close to Michigan and Indiana. So it's also a business adventure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, as long as we get to somewhere with a balance and for good, reliable energy.
Right.
That's what it needs to be.
Right. Do you believe electric vehicles are the answer?
No, I don't believe electric vehicles are the answer.
We get too cold over here.
I don't know what the question was with that. The answer to what?
Well, the answer to the next kind of, I guess what we're being told by a lot of AOC. We're being told by her electric vehicles are the way. Everyone's got to buy a Tesla pretty much, and they don't really work in cold environments. In Indiana, we get 4 seasons year round.
So here's what I do know. So I chair transportation in the house.
Okay.
And we're really, for what I'm doing looking forward, we want to be playing the long game as far as how do we fund roads and infrastructure, right? So in Indiana, all of the dollars that we collect at the pump on that gas tax goes to roads.
Right.
There are 3 cents that do not currently go to roads, and I believe it is 2024 or 2025. That remaining 3 cents goes to roads. So that's
kind of
part of
pay
the
it
sales
forward.
tax. Well, so when we did House Bill 2017, there was, we got the 7-cent sales tax.
Yeah.
And how we get to that is a crazy formula, but that's how we get there.
Okay.
So all of that wasn't able to move to roads in one particular time because it was going to the general fund prior to that. So we moved 4 cents, and I'll say cents versus percent,
Yeah.
4 cents of that into roads, and we left 3 cents there as a fail-safe. So when we're taking it out of the general fund, we'll make sure we have the revenue.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty obvious now we have the revenue. We shouldn't be scared of it. So we're going to take that other 3 cents and put it into roads. But as you see more and more electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles on the roads, and the manufacturers are telling me we'll have a 30% saturation of electric vehicles in Indiana by 2030.
Right.
That's not that far.
By 2030.
By 2030. Okay, so that's, in theory, that's 30% less
Yeah.
in road funding.
Right.
Okay, so Purdue says we'll see a 17% saturation by 2030.
Okay.
They're a little off here, right?
Yeah.
So if you go somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to work with, say, 20%. So by 2030, we need to figure out how to keep our road funding at a level pace based on losing to the electric vehicles. So we're going to lose 20% of our road funding.
Right. Could you do something like St. Joe County does and do a tire tax?
So those are tools that the locals have.
Okay.
So you can do a wheel tax and a surtax. And I think we have 14 counties. I believe it is 14 counties out of the 92 that have a wheel tax.
Right.
And then we have 52 municipalities that have the wheel tax. So the wheel tax, that $25, do you know what it goes to?
It goes to, I believe, some non-existent program now.
No, that is not true.
Really?
So yeah, it's community crossings. So
Oh, community crossing.
they have an asset management program, and then they use that wheel tax to be able to participate in community crossings. So we have a 70-30 match, and we have a 50 or 60-40 match, depending on populations. So those municipalities and those counties are using that revenue to be able to match funds with the state to do local road and infrastructure projects. So you can't hire people with it. You
Right.
can't buy new equipment. You need to pave the roads.
All right.
That's what that's for. And they have $1 million cap that they can apply for that grant. So it's a tool that the General Assembly gave to the locals of the counties to be able to raise revenue to participate and fix more of their roads. Because we all know we need to do a better job with it, right?
Yeah.
We
I
started,
drive on them, I know.
we started late. We didn't really address it. Our gas tax hadn't been addressed, I think, since like 1995.
Right.
It had not increased, and we all know what the increases have been. So yeah, I mean, it's a great tool for them to be able to use to double their dollars, or sometimes get 70%.
So let's go with a hypothetical, and this will be the last question I ask, because you're a busy man and we have busy things. What do you expect the midterms to look like this year?
I think the midterms are going to be a red tidal wave.
You're thinking red tsunami too?
I do. I really believe that to be the case. I think people are fed up with the inflation. They're fed up with the price of gas. And we can debate the gas tax portion of that. Maybe if you take that away.
Right.
Gas is out of control.
Oh, absolutely.
So, the current administration set a bad message when they shut down the Keystone Pipeline. And everybody thinks we shut down oil in there, right? That
Right.
didn't happen. There was
No.
nothing in it.
Right.
But the message to the industry is we don't want any fossil fuels.
Well, when you've been preaching before, when Biden was getting ready, he's like, I'm going to attack big oil, I'm going to take down big oil, and then what do you think the business is going to do? Well, shit, we better close.
I wouldn't make the investment if that were my
Absolutely
choice.
not.
So yeah, I think it's going to be the voters are going to turn out, and they're going to turn out and they're going to vote with the future for their kids, for themselves, for their
Oh, absolutely.
kids. I think the majority of people can't keep pace with the inflation. Wages have gone up, and I think that's awesome. Wages should go up. But when you look at it in comparison to where we're at with inflation, well, they've taken a hit.
I think we've lost 18% of the. Don't quote me. I think last I checked, it was 18% of the inflation is taken out from your paycheck, even with a $15 minimum wage.
Could be. I just, I'm excited that the wages did go up, but
I missed the $1.89 gas.
I do too. If it were like that, the $1.89 gas and the wages,
We
went
would
up,
be doing
it'd be good.
great.
So, I think that's going to be that red tsunami. I think that's how people are going to vote. It's with how's my life.
Trump or DeSantis?
I think it's going to be DeSantis.
What if it was a split ticket? Like both of them at the same time?
Oh boy,
Like-
that's going to be a tough one.
Like Trump and DeSantis on the same ticket.
We'll have to see how that plays out.
God,
because
I
just
think
seen
it's
those
gonna be
New Hampshire-
ridiculous.
I've seen those New Hampshire numbers, and that was the first time ever DeSantis has been ahead in the polling
Yeah.
over Trump, and was by 2 points.
I
3
think so,
points.
yeah.
So it's still within the margin of error, but DeSantis is gaining a lot of momentum.
It's because I think it's because of his wife. Personally, I think it's because of DeSantis' wife. Because she is in the weeds in the political aspect on social media and saying, honey, you need to talk about this. You need to talk about this. You need to talk. And that's just giving him the fuel to move.
We all need a good woman behind us.
Yeah, right. Luckily, this one's tall enough to kick my ass.
Well, we all need a good woman behind us. I couldn't do this job without my wife. That's
Right? Oh, dude, it just. Sorry. All right. So thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate you talking to me.
No problem.
And
Anytime.
when's your next midterm coming up? Or when's your next re-election?
I'm a representative, so I run every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
I am in every cycle except for the local election cycle. So I'm
All right.
midterms, I'm with the presidential election and the midterms.
And can we still find your information at jimpressel.org or is it jimpressel.gov?
Jimpressel.com.
.com.
Yeah, that will be my website, and you can contact me at H20, so House District 20 H20 at in.gov.
H20 at in.gov.
Water.indiana.gov.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right, pleasure. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah.